Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be back from vacation, but I got to tell you, we missed an awful lot while I was away. So tonight's show is a little bit different format. I've given Rex Reel the night off, and we really need to catch up on what's been happening in Tinseltown as cinematic class is about to begin and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And the truth is that a lot has been happening, both in Tinseltown and with movies, especially the independent movies. So I want to get caught up on a lot of things that happened while I was enjoying sand, surf, and sun. First off, we want to thank our sponsors for the show, House of Feruza Barbershop and Gabriel Mastracci Art. We'll talk more about them a little bit later on in the program. Right now, though, let's talk about being normal, okay? Bob Odenkirk really surprised everyone some years ago. They were watching the silver screen and they saw his action comedy hit Nobody. And nobody really expected Bob to be in that kind of movie or have that kind of role. He followed it up with a sequel. And while that sequel was more over the top than the original one, it followed a similar pattern and proved to be just as entertaining. Well, let's face it, the stars in these films are really the stuntmen. So Bob thought, well, maybe if I add a little bit more character and a little bit more comedy, then people will come to know my name instead of waiting to see my face on the screen and say, oh yeah, that guy. So he came out with Normal, and he co-wrote this movie, so he's got a nice juicy part in it. It's a bigger character development, but it's pretty much standard fare for situational comedies. The comedy used in this movie is very low-key, and aside from a mousetrap-like event which triggers the conclusion, this movie needed more Three Stooges-type slapstick in order to rise above mediocrity. Nobody was good. Normal is just okay.
Keep your hands where I can see them!
If you don't play this right, we're gonna have a massacre in there. I say we play the hand that's been dealt to all of us, and maybe you get to keep the rest of your fingers.
You could build a whole new life here in Normal. We really celebrate the community.
What is wrong with you people?
Nothing to see here.
Let's check in with what the streamers have been doing so far this summer anyway. Peacock has a very good limited series that actually was so good it's probably not going to come back. It's called the Copenhagen Test. This is extremely well written, and it has multiple plot twists and enough techno jargon to rival any of the Star Trek series. Simu Liu is excellent in the starring role of Alexander. He also produces the show along with James Wan. That is certainly good company to keep. Alexander is an intelligence agent with a desire to be a field agent. Now, the orphanage is a secret organization that is so clandestine that only a local restaurant owner and chief chef named Victor, and is played by Saul Rubinek, know about it. Now, Alexander's eyes and ears are hacked by enemy agents, but the orphanage opts to keep the hack active, hoping to bring down the enemy agents. The 8 sessions then become a rather complicated cat and mouse game, kind of like spy versus spy. Writing for this show was handled primarily by Thomas Brandon with a little help from Jet Wilkinson. The plot on this thing was so complex that while it scored exceptionally high on the watch list, it also received a high number of complaints from viewers saying that it was difficult for them to follow the plot and keep up with what was going on, even though there are recaps in the beginning and what have you. So a second season proved to be maybe a little bit too complicated, and it doesn't look like a second season is going to continue. But this one stands on its own, and it's definitely worth a watch. You should catch it while you can.
From this moment forward, your life is mine.
Tell me why you chose me.
We need whoever is watching to think that you are in the clear now. Then we use you to find them and destroy them. I'm ready.
He's conflicted, but he's on board.
How do you know that you're doing the right thing?
Be grateful for all the things you don't know.
No matter what anybody says, I did not betray this country.
We either save the mission or save his life.
Are you in?
What's in your head?
And while we're checking in with the streamers, HBO Max is kind of puffing its chest out over having Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Now, this version of The Mummy is really grotesque. And I don't mean grotesque because of the scares or the gore scenes, but rather due to the bastardization of the mummy mythos. You see, the mummy from its original stories was always a high-ranking Egyptian official, and he was cursed to eternal damnation for abusing the laws of the land, all for his forbidden love. Now, Cronin removes that entire mythos and inserts instead tropes for The Exorcist. The new twist on The Mummy is nothing more than a demon possession film with slight undertones of ancient Egypt. The movie stars Jack Rayner, Laia Costa, Natalie Grace. Director of photography was Dave Garbett. This is shot exceptionally well. Visually, it's fine to watch. Where it runs into problems is with Brian Shaw. He is the editor. He's made this movie 2 hours and 15 minutes long. No. Wait, this movie is a 90-minute movie. He is way over the top with this one. Now, Lee Cronin can handle horror, folks. You've all seen Hole in the Ground and Evil Dead Rise, but what he did with The Mummy is similar to what Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin did to Godzilla, and no one accepted that.
She's been missing for 8 years. What was our daughter doing in a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus?
She just needs our care and lots of love.
How many others were found?
57.
How many of them were still alive?
What happened to Katie? What really happened to her? Porque solo tú, Señor de los Milagros.
Say something.
Solo tú, Señor de los Milagros.
Say something.
Puedes transformar lo imposible en realidad.
Say something.
Say
A me.
Say something.
Don't worry, Grandma. It's fun to be dead.
I just want my daughter back.
Say, there's an awful lot more coming on the show when Outtakes with Rex Reel continues right after this. Folks, it is summertime, and while things are heating up outside, you can keep your cool with service from the House of Fairuza Barbershop, located at the corner of Drake Road and South Park Road. Now, if your current grooming routine feels maybe just a bit too heavy for the rising temperatures, then it's time for an upgrade. Swing by the shop. You can beat the heat with a nice, cool haircut and stay sharp and look fine. We'll see you in the chair. That's the House of Fairuza Barbershop, located at the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road in Bethel Park. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, there's been a lot going on while I was away. Let's see if we can pick out some of the more tasty morsels in this edition of the Biz Buzz. Well, I guess we would be remiss if I didn't open up the Biz Buzz with a little something about Supergirl. It seems that the only people who are appreciating this movie are those who are really immersed into the alternative versions of comics. Because apparently those people like what's going on in both last year's Superman and this year's Supergirl, and they like that alternative. I don't even know what it was called. There was a 52 and a Rare Earth, and I don't know where they got this one from. But those people seem to like this movie an awful lot, and they are a minority. So as a result, DCU and Warner Brothers put out a highly paid-for campaign among influencers to talk about the good things of this movie and how it'll do just fine and it's great, and James Gunn's job is very secure and all that other happy nonsense. But, looking at just numbers, I don't think this movie can be salvaged at this point, regardless of the ad campaigns. In fact, by the time you watch this show and me giving this report, the Supergirl may already be on the streamers. They're talking about deals already. Italy's official entry for the Oscars is coming to America in wide release. Familia will open up this month. Here's a look.
Questa storia te la fai i fascisti. Io sono sempre tutto, G. Tutto.
Con chi sei uscito?
Con chi sono uscito? Con amici miei.
Che amici tuoi? Perché mi fai paura?
Di che c'è paura? Hai visto papà? Mamma lo sa? No. Se te ricordi certe cose, G? Te lo sei scordato, forse eri troppo piccolo, forse non ti ricordi.
Non è che c'è qualche problema in famiglia?
Perché stai qua? Secondo te?
C'è papà di là.
Forse c'è papà di là.
Okay, now let's talk about the Odyssey. There was so much false press before this movie was released that it was like watching the Democrats trying to tell everybody that Joe Biden could run for another term of office. No. You know, Christopher Nolan is being criticized for having a multicultural cast in this movie, and rightfully so. This nonsense really has to stop. I think viewers on whole are tired of this nonsense, and they're not buying it like they used to. That said, Christopher Nolan makes really good films. They are visually stunning. The problem comes with cancellation of screenings. They canceled the press screening in Pittsburgh for the Odyssey. That's never, ever a good sign. They kept press screenings, but only for the top 10 markets. That's not a good sign. The only thing good that came out of this was Nolan and the studio claimed that they were not going to have advanced screenings for influencers. Now, just as a little aside, there is a big battle going on now between actual film critics and influencers. Critics critique a film. Technically speaking, a film critic should not be paid by the studios to write a good review. Okay? Influencers don't have that rule or regulation. As a result, all influencers, without exception, are being paid hefty sums by the studios to write good reviews. That's kind of in contrast to the critics, and the two of them are battling it out. The Critics' Choice Association, of which I am a charter member, is one at the forefront for battling this influencer takeover, if you will, of movie studio favored status. Okay, let's put it that way. So everybody applauded when the influencers were cut out, and then word leaked that they actually did have advanced screenings in the top 10 markets for influencers, but they put it under a different name so as to disguise it. So there's a lot going out there now about the Odyssey that has been paid for, but people are making, it's a game. I like to see Nolan's movies on the big screen. They canceled the press screening here. When they don't have press screenings, it's tough for me to get to the theater because I have so many other things to watch. I don't know if I'll make it to the theater to see this, and in the long run, you might be better waiting until it comes to the streamers, because if it does turn out to be a dud, well, you're not too far away from the fridge. Hey, there's a lot of people who like the wuxia type of martial arts movies, adventure movies. Now, wuxia is real big, obviously, in the Asian markets. Over here, we call it wire fu. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Well, a new one is out, and it's pulling in some pretty big names. It's from director Wen Yu-ping. He's pretty well known for martial arts action-adventure movies, and the stars in this are big, too. They include Wu Jing, Nicholas Tsay, Max Zhang, and Jet Li. The name of the movie is Blades of the Guardians, Wind Rises in the Desert. Here's a look.
匪觉得我是官，官觉得我是匪，
我就是天下第一的镖人。
煽动刀兵者，死！
一旦出鞘，必然是一场天翻地覆。
And let's wrap up this edition of the Biz Buzz with an update on the YouTube battle going on. As you know, they swallowed up my channel, claiming that somehow I offended somebody in their community and violated their community standards. Most of the viewers that I had on my reviews from YouTube actually didn't come from subscribers, but from one-time viewers. That's because YouTube used to promote the channel and the reviews fairly well. They've stopped doing that. The numbers show it. It's incredible how it's fallen down. We still have about 565 subscribers on that channel, but you're not being notified when I post something new. So if you are a subscriber to the YouTube channel, the only thing I can tell you to do is once a week check in on the channel on your own, and you'll see the new stuff in there. Just pick a day of the week that's comfortable for you and put it on there. Normally, I put up the new reviews Tuesday or Wednesday, so there's that. I'm still trying to find out who blogged the complaint first, and secondly, what community standards supposedly I violated and how I did that in a film review. I'm not exactly sure, but I will find out, and we'll see how things go. Meanwhile, I'm trying to do a shift over to Rumble because they haven't given me any problems at all. And I'm happy to say that Rumble is now just about where YouTube was. We're averaging anywhere between 50 and 100 views per review that I put online. And that's about where YouTube was. So Rumble is coming along. And if you want to be notified of when I post something new, rumble.com will be the way to go. Just look up Outtakes with Rex Rio. All right, let's get back to some movie reviews. One of the movies that I missed while I was away was a movie called The Furious, and it really gained an awful lot of notoriety. It is being built as a companion to the movie The Raid. Now, The Furious is worth a view, but The Raid is worth many views. Xing Miao plays Wang Wei. He is a mute handyman who is pulled into a battle with a child trafficking cartel when his daughter is kidnapped. He teams up with the husband of an investigative reporter named Navin, who is played by action star Joe Taslim. He's always fun to watch. Together, they seek to find Wei's daughter, Navin's wife, and eventually break down the trafficking ring. The action in this movie, folks, is fast and furious. And pardon the pun there, but much of it is gymnastic display rather than martial arts display. In many of the scenes, it is painfully obvious to see that the camera speed has been increased, sometimes to the point of incredulity. And for this type of film, it's probably about a half an hour too long.
You're looking for someone.
So am I.
My wife went missing.
Might still be alive.
say we're fast running out of time, so let's make sure I can get this one in too. It is called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. You know, it's Guy Ritchie, and if you follow me and follow the show, you know that I'm a big fan of Guy Ritchie. I like his movies. He is a master at mixing action, sometimes very brutal action, with snide comedy. And depending on the mood he wants to set, it'll either be comedy followed by gruesome action, or he'll reverse that for a whole different mien to the movie. This movie is milder, and it was obviously made for TV. That's why it went directly to the streamers. Henry Cavill is in this movie, and there's a lot of buzz on the interwebs that people really want him to play the new James Bond. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to go with a younger actor. However, in this movie, in a way, he gets to play James Bond because the movie is based on some events in Ian Fleming's life. Ian Fleming is actually in this movie. Well, not him, but somebody portraying him. And the character that Henry Cavill plays is the real-life character that Fleming based Bond on. So, kind of, sort of, and in a way. All the elements are here for a Guy Ritchie movie. It's just in a milder form.
We both know that I'm not very popular with the administration.
The reason they find you unattractive is the very reason I find you attractive.
If I'm to do this, I'll need my own team. You won't like them. They're all...
No!
mad.
They'll need to be.
This is an unsanctioned, unauthorized mission. If we fail, England will be condemned to a lifetime under the German boot.
And so I said, that is not a dog. That is my wife!
It's very good.
You and your operation are reckless.
Abort this mission now.
Hello? Can't hear you. Please do off.
There is an awful lot more to talk about, but we are fast out of time. I do want to remind you that there are several exclusive interviews that are running online only. Black Box, Hungry, Seven Snipers, and Badland Rising. Those last two come to us from Australia. Black Box and Hungry were both very enjoyable movies. You want to check my reviews out on those online. And everything else that I need to tell you, we're going to have to tie over to the next class. So now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.